Get full access to over 20,000 episodes with your free trial. MyOutdoorTV. Sign up today.
Visiting hunters have justifiably great expectations when arriving in Hungary. Fantastic terrains, with the game management refined to the very last detail, give hunters some sublime possibilities of hunting under the best conditions possible. This film is primarily focused on hunting the fallow deer. We're about to see driven hunts with all their charm and excitement, and in addition, we shall see the culling of females and wild boar. We're at the Labot district southwest of Lake Balaton, which together with the districts of Goelai and Good constitute the top 3 regarding fallow deer. Every year bucks with antlers weighing between 4.5 to 5 kilograms are taken. Labot is also one of the top red deer districts of the world. The best red deer head so far weighed almost 17 kilograms. Labot covers more than 55,000 hectares and employs 18 gamekeepers. Each keeper is responsible for his own part of Labot, which means that they have an enormous local knowledge of their respective areas. Søren Nielsen is out stalking with his guide Andreas. This is the first time Søren stalks fallow deer, and his expectations are high. From catalogs and from Hungarian hunting stories, he knows that here he has a good chance of getting the trophy of a lifetime. While Andreas and Søren are sneaking forward, they see and hear fallow deer. The Hungarians only shoot the fallow buck by selection, and it is in fact illegal to arrange traditional driven hunts where everything can be shot. Bucks are only shot during stalking and still hunting, which allows the careful selection needed to create top-quality trophies with large palms. This scene tells us 2 things. First, you do not see everything that the forest has to offer. Secondly, that Labot is practically crawling with buck. But Andreas is looking for a special animal he wants Søren to take. This one. Unfortunately, the buck walks off straight away. Andreas and Søren have no choice but to wait and see what happens. Another very dark buck has appeared, proud, stiff-legged, and head held high. But Andreas insists that Søren should take the buck chosen. As they see him disappear behind the trees to the right, the stalk continues. Andreas knows his forest like the back of his hand, and he uses all his experience into guiding his guest to the prey. The Hungarian hunting guides take great pride in presenting their clients with a good chance. Andreas and Søren are heading towards the sound, and this scenery should really be experienced on the spot. The forest is full of music. Andreas manages to find the buck. It is lying down, uttering its rutting grunts again and again, while a doe is playing hard to get. Carefully, the hunters stalk forward between the trees in order to get closer to the buck. It is nearly 11 o'clock, and the sunlight behind the buck is now a factor that the hunters must take into consideration. The many trees can make the shooting more difficult, but on the other hand, they offer good camouflage for Andreas and Søren. They carefully stalk closer to the buck, aroused by the rut. The hunters take no chances. Everything must be scanned with the binoculars in order to avoid bumping into another animal, and thereby making the buck disappear. Here, the two hunters are reaching the final stage of the stalk. From now on, they must crawl on their bellies. Andreas has found a good rest, and from now on it's up to Søren to act. The distance is approximately 135 meters. The buck and the doe haven't noticed the hunters, and Søren uses the rest to ensure a good shot. Now the buck only has to get up. To Søren, the seconds feel like an eternity. The buck is alerted. It's time for action. The stag evidently took a good hit, and the defunct hind leg is really a good sign. In slow motion, you can see that the Lapua bullet hits the buck at the center of the shoulder. The mortally hit buck runs 40 to 50 meters before dropping. Andreas carefully approaches the buck. Søren is still alert, but Andreas is breaking off a twig. He realizes that everything is okay. He has shot his first fully palmated and very beautiful fallow buck. There is no reason to be at the ready anymore. And Søren empties his rifle.
Hey, good? Yeah.
Søren's happy smile is contagious. Andreas is smiling too, although this is a common occurrence to him. But for Søren, this is a day he shall never forget. A mature fallow buck will reach a weight approaching 100 kilos in good areas with broad-leaved and mixed forests, interspersed by fields where the animal can feed. The rut starts in the middle of October, and in the following June or July, the doe will give birth to a calf.
So, final time. Danke. Good. Danke.
The gamekeeper bids Søren the mandatory Weidmannsheil, and he returns the salute with a likewise mandatory Weidmannsdank.
Wie alt? 9 oder 10 Jahre alt? Gut, ja. 4 Kilo? Ja.
The trophy weighs around 4 kilos. It qualifies as a large silver medal, and maybe it is even a gold medal head Søren has taken. The next morning, Andreas and Søren are back in the beautiful autumn forest, and their task is just as determined as yesterday. Andreas has told Søren about an abnormal buck, and he is very interested in giving it a try.
Das ganz langsam hier. Vorsichtig. Ja, das nur ganz langsam gehen. Es ist viel Esche hier.
Close to the rutting place, it is quite impossible to guess what direction the buck will appear from.
Ein Hirsch kommt da, ja. Gut ist. Ja, gut Hirsch.
By gestures and facial expression, Andreas tells Søren that he must tiptoe. The hunters are in an area with many bucks, and it is important to arrive at the rutting place undetected. Shortly after the two hunters have arrived, the action begins. Several good bucks appear, but they're not in any danger. The hunters are determined to hunt the abnormal buck this morning. Søren has the opportunity to quietly enjoy the marvelous sight of the rutting bucks here in the middle of October. The bucks use a lot of time to grunt and scrape the ground in an attempt to impress their opponents and thereby perhaps avoiding a fight. Intense and long-lasting fights are more rare than between red stags. The buck to the left is handicapped by only having one antler. Andreas knows that the buck lost the antler due to an accident earlier this season and that he next year will develop a normal set.
Kilo. 7, 8, ja. Dann bist diesen Dummy ist klar zu geschossen bist. Noch 2, 3 Jahre. 2, 3, ja.
Andreas knows his bucks. It is important for the gamekeepers to know their animals in order to be able to combine the knowledge of their age and studies of when they are peaking, trophy-wise, and thereby determine the right season to harvest them. Normally, the bucks must be 10 years before they peak. At this rutting place, earlier this season, a hunter shot a buck with a head weighing no less than 5 kilograms.
3 Kilo oder ein bisschen mehr. Ab. Nein. Abgebrochen. Gekämpft und dann abgebrochen, ja. Okay. Nächstes Jahr wieder normal. Das Ganze hinten auch. Ganz hinten. 3,7, 3,8. 7, 8 Jahre alt.
When Andreas is making an estimate of a head, he is rarely more than 10% wrong. He knows all the good bucks in this area. He is responsible of an area of 3,000 hectares, that, by the way, is the lower legal limit of an area where you can rent hunting rights in Hungary. Another buck enters the arena. This is the buck they are looking for. In all the years Andreas has seen this animal, it has had a bad right antler. Due to this permanent abnormality, the gamekeeper has decided to remove the buck this year. Bad antler or not, the buck is rutting and wants to pass his genes to the next generation. But due to his antlers, he will never have his wish fulfilled. His life is about to end.
Ich komme nicht ja, ein bisschen hinten. Ja. Aber Lunge auch kaputt. Lunge kaputt. Ja. Okay.
Yes. Søren's bullet has hit the lungs a hand's width behind the shoulder, and the buck's sprint will be short. Just in case, Søren has kept a cartridge in the chamber, but this is no longer necessary, and he can empty his rifle.
Okay, gut. Zur Abschluss, ja. Ja. Ja, ja. Ja?
So, einmal zeigen.
Danke. Sehr gut.
Ja.
Sehr gut.
Guter Abschluss, ja.
Sehr schön.
You might call it a culling buck, but in spite of the slightly negative ring to the word, it is definitely a highly thrilling hunt and a nice trophy, which will get an equally prominent place on Søren's trophy wall as his first fallow buck.
Sehr gut, Andreas.
Now Søren and Andreas can return to the hunting manor where other hunters have had luck too. This must be properly celebrated with bubbling champagne accompanied by hunting horns.
Sehr geehrte Gäste, wir dürfen jetzt wieder vor einer hervorragenden Strecke stehen, auf den 4 kapitale Schaufler liegen. Ich wünsche für jeden Schütze, dass sie noch mal solche Momente erleben können, und ich wünsche den erfolgreichen Schützen Weidmannsheil.
The other 4 visiting hunters and Søren are having a toast with the Hungarian gamekeepers. This is a tradition and comes quite naturally when the hunter's success has been as great and impressive as today. On parade are 4 top trophy bucks, each the result of a thrilling hunt. The surroundings are perfect here at Labod. The hunters are accommodated in the manner, and the quality here is comparable to the quality of the hunts this morning. They will all fall leave with a memory of their lives. With scenes like this outside, you have not gone hunting in Hungary to sit in the parlor, no matter how well you are accommodated. The rut is peaking, and the forest echoes with roars and the sound of antlers smashing together. We have moved to a new spot in this enormous area. This is another rutting place with just as much action as the others. Everywhere in the forest we see bucks and does doing their love dance. It is the does that seek out the bucks and tempt them. This continues until the mating takes place, after which the does lose interest and move away from the rutting place. We are accompanying a new hunter, Peter Simonsen, and a new gamekeeper, Cornelius, who is an old hand at the district with 30 years' experience. It is highly likely that he will make sure that Peter will fulfill an old dream of taking a really good fallow head. Every gamekeeper at Labod is responsible for his area of approximately 3,000 hectares. We are now at an entirely different part of this enormous terrain, but it can be difficult to tell the difference between the rutting places. The rut is at its peak, so there is much commotion and grunting in all of them.
Jetzt wieder die zweite. Jetzt kommt er. Jetzt gut.
Here is one of the bucks Cornelius has selected for Peter. What a trophy.
Diese beide ist zu gut hier. Beide ist gut, Mitte alt, aber ganz gute klassisch. Zu jung. Links, geradeaus, links eine schwarze, ein dunkle.
Peter has to adjust the magnification of his scope. The many trees limit the visibility and make it difficult to get a clear line of fire.
Ja, jetzt. Oh, du bist fertig. So gut stehen jetzt zum Schießen. 140 Meter.
What happened? The buck seems to think. Peter's shot makes all grunting stop. The buck moves a little forward and unfortunately stops with its tail end towards the hunter. The weight is almost unbearable. It seems like the buck is deliberately testing Peter's nerves. The angle of shot is hopeless and quite unethical. Will Peter get another chance, or will this huge trophy slip away?
Jetzt. Das gute Schuss. Ja, von hinten geht vorne.
Not the easiest angle of shooting, but Cornelius was happy with both the angle and the shot. He saw the bullet pass diagonally through the animal. Here is the reason why Peter's first bullet was completely without effect. It hits a small tree in front. This is an evident risk in dense forest like this.
Aha, guck mal, das ist der erste Schuss. Dann geht vorbei.
This is a buck to be remembered, an obvious gold medal head. What a trophy to begin a career as a fallow deer hunter.
12 Jahre, sicher, ja. 12 Jahre sicher.
When a trophy like this is taken, the reason behind it is almost always a patient and dedicated management. When a buck or a stag gets 10 years or older, this one is estimated to be 12 years or more, this is usually the reward for not being too trigger-happy. A buck will lose as much as 20% of its weight during the rut.
Ein herzlichen Weidmannsheil.
Weidmannsdank.
Tolle Hirsch.
Toll.
Interessant. Sehr, sehr interessant.
When you are assisted by very professional hunting guides and have the good fortune to shoot one of the best heads Labod can offer, the memory of the entire experience will have a special aura around it, even though all hunts are memorable. Mind and soul remember the sights, the sounds, and the smells. The forest at Labod is ancient in many places, and both flora and fauna expose a fantastic variety of living creatures. When you are stalking a place like this, all your senses will be fully engaged and stimulated.
Schönes Dammkalb.
During their stay, the hunters can choose to cull fallow fawns and does. Peter accepts the offer, and he and Cornelius are again out in the forest hunting on a sunny autumn morning.
Peter, Weidmannsheil.
Weidmannsdank.
Although it does not carry any trophy, the doe is naturally treated with the same respect as any other animal. This includes the traditional salute between hunter and guide. During the cautious stalk through the forest, the binoculars are used frequently. Cornelius makes sure that they stay far away from the rutting places in order not to make any unnecessary disturbance. A doe and buck appears. The buck is quite young and definitely not ready to be harvested. As it is often the case when more than one animal is present, the shooting gets more difficult. The buck acts as an unwanted bullet catch, as it is trying to detect any enemies. And when it finally moves, the doe is in a bad angle. This is much better. A clean miss.
Niks getroffen, ich glaube.
Just in case, the cautious and experienced Cornelius wants to check the area, like he always does, and like everyone should do when a bullet has been fired at a live target.
Wild steht da vorne. Das hier.
Ja.
Aber ich glaube, das ist eine Kugelspur. Muss man noch einmal kontrollieren, am Seite.
Anyone who claims never to have missed has either not hunted very much or suffers from a very bad memory. As expected, Cornelius and Peter do not find anything, and after this check, they can continue the stalk on this beautiful autumn morning. Cornelius is guiding Peter to a track in the forest where they can expect to find does. And although there are only young bucks there when they reach it, Peter gets ready. Suddenly, a doe appears from the forest, and Peter is lying down with a good rest, which gives him every opportunity to make a good shot. But unfortunately, the doe chooses to stop with one of the bucks as background. Peter must be patient and wait.
Der Schaufler, ein bisschen größer, jetzt kommt noch Kalbel, nichts möglich zu schießen.
Finally, Cornelius is happy with the circumstances. Peter can shoot. The shot was good. The two young bucks are confused and indecisive before they finally move off. Naturally, the hunters quietly let the animals go away in order not to disturb them unnecessarily.
Das von Kugel. Ich das gesehen, weißt du, wenn du hat geschossen, ich gesehen, wenn Kugel Peter, das ist ein guter Schuss. Weidmannsheil. Herzlichen Weidmannsheil. Wenn du einen ganzen Tag jagen, deine Hut so wie für ein Vietcong. Ganz guter Schuss.
This was a good chance, where the excitement increased towards a climax. The result was a calm and precise shot from the best of all shooting positions. A picture says more than 1,000 words. This film is proof of all the magnificent experiences that await you in Hungary. It is definitely not an exaggeration to call Lapod fallow deer country. It is blessed with many excellent bucks and many professional and very hospitable gamekeepers who are expert guides. It is now winter and the season for the driven hunts, a field of hunting where Lapod is also capable of delivering first-class product.
Jamen okay, så vil jeg på egne vegne og på vegne af Bulljagtrejser byde jer velkommen her til Lapod, hvor vi skal have 3 dages drivjagt på dårvildt, og der vil være lidt gris. Og jeg ved, det har været en lang rejse for de fleste af jer, så I vil få anvist jeres værelse hernede nu. Og så er der plads til at tage et bad, og om en times tid, så vil vi få serveret middagen herinde i selskabslokalet herinde ved siden af. Så velkommen alle sammen.
As a guest at Lapod, you do not have to fear bad beds, rotten windows, and miserable bathing facilities. The accommodation is of the same high standard as the hunting. You can even choose between single or double rooms. Any craftsman appreciates the value of good tools, and hunters should do the same. After a long trip, it is a wise policy to check that the rifle's point of impact matches the point of aim. The light conditions are not the best during a gray winter morning, and the headlights from a car help the hunters see the targets. The hunters can now take turns in checking their rifles. One should not underestimate the confidence that arises from knowing that your rifle is working as intended. hunt can begin.
Das Treib kommt so und geht hier vorbei. Gut. Ganz frei zu schießen auf jede Seite.
Ja, keine Kollegen.
Nein.
One after another, the hunters are shown their post. Everyone who has participated in a driven hunt knows the joy of expectation that you feel when you have been posted. The hunt that you have been looking forward to for so long is finally about to begin. Safe shooting angles are carefully shown to all the participants. Dry firing without ammunition in the rifle a few times as a final preparation is standard for many hunters.
Ja, det er så spændende. Nu er vi på vores første drev her på Labot. Og vi er hovedsageligt efter dårvildt her.
All the beaters are equipped with orange safety vests, and they are very good at keeping a straight line while beating. This is very important, both safety-wise and in order to drive the game in the right direction. What a beautiful day, with trees and landscape powdered with snow. The eyes are constantly scanning the surroundings and the ears are wide open for any minute sound. Where will the game come from and when? It is one thing to detect the game when it approaches between the trees, but it is quite another matter to get a free line of fire. Some hunters choose to ignore the trees and shoot like it was an open field. If they hit a tree, it's just bad luck, and you'll have to reload and see if another opportunity arises. Incoming is the hottest spice of any driven hunt, wild boars. They often stop and are always alert, and it is evident that the leading sow is not happy about the situation. She has somehow sensed the danger.
Det kom en hel flock grisar. Och de kände, jag släppte dem ganska nära. Sen kände de att vi fanns här. Så att suggan vände och gick bort, ledarsuggan. Men jag tog ett av djuren längre bak när de precis hade bestämt sig för att gå ifrån. Så det var lite grann på gående, men den gick ner på första skottet.
Shooting a driven game is difficult. A hopping doe crossing a forest trail is a difficult target. Magnus has spotted a single boar coming towards her, but this time he gets away. It is difficult to see, but the hit is good. It is easier to see here, where Søren shoots a doe. Wild boars crossing a road at top speed need quite a lead. The drive is over, and as quickly as possible, without stressing the beaters or the hunters, the gamekeepers are preparing for the next drive. 3 to 4 drives a day is standard, half of what you do in other countries, which inevitably results in hurrying and stress for everyone. Andreas, head of the gamekeepers, congratulates Søren.
Waldmannsheil.
Waldmannsdank.
Wie sagt man Dänisch?
Tillykke.
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 Tak.
Waldmannsheil. Du nicht das einzige Stück?
Einziges Stück hier.
Okay, keine Schwein oder so?
Zweiter Schuss war hier rüber.
3 übergeschossen.
Vielleicht. Ich werde ansehen.
Schauen, guck mal.
Ja.
Okay, okay. Sehen wir. Da har en mehr.
Søren has now shot his second wild boar, the average number per rifle on a driven day here, so Søren is quite happy.
En fin en.
Sehr guter Schuss.
Ja, danke. Danke.
It is lunchtime. The hunters have driven to the meeting point, an idyllic spot in the forest. While waiting for the Hungarians to get the last details ready, experiences are exchanged, stories that probably will only get better as they are told and retold. The sky sometimes gets dark and probably laden with snow. For that reason, the lunch is not taken in the open, but in a picturesque cabin in the forest. As always in Hungary, lunch is a scalding hot, rich soup with homemade bread. Everyone has had a second helping, and we can guarantee that if any hunter returns the least bit hungry from the lunch, it's his own fault.
När den ena ammunitionssorten tar slut så kan man ta till nästa i så fall.
Det där chili det är också gott, va?
Är det skutt igen? Ja.
Lunch is over, and the hunting begins. Many hunters are using aim point sights, an acknowledgement of the aim point's superiority for shooting at driven game.
Jeg tror, det her det bliver en god standplads. Rigtig god. Allerede på vej herude har vi set de første 50-60 stykker vildt. Både kronvildt og dårvildt. Og vi står nu her som en sidepost og er klar. Helt sikkert, der kommer meget vildt her.
Det har jeg, fordi vi er kommet ud til et noget åbent plads her, og jeg synes ikke, at aimpointen der er uden for størrelse, det kniver mig altså lidt, når vi er ude over de der 60 meter. Og her kan vi nemt få skud ud til i hvert fald 100 meter det område her. Derfor har jeg valgt, så kigger den på.
Notice the straight line of the beaters. This simply cannot be done any better. But safety is first and foremost the responsibility of the hunter. Anas has seen the beaters coming towards him, and though the doe runs past, he naturally just lets it pass. Søren has luck. He shoots a fallow fawn and manages to get one more. Anas misses.
Det bliver i hvert fald til 2 stykker dårvildt, det er vi helt sikre på. Og så er der forbi på en lille kalv her til sidst. Den skal jo ikke komme til at yderligere. Det var slemt. Det var slemt. Men lad os gå ned og se hernede. Den ene, den kommer de med der i hvert fald.
Snow is an advantage in many respects when hunting. The hunters can more easily detect the game, and tracking is made so much easier. In case of a wounded animal, an especially trained tracking dog is at hand during every driven hunt.
Tillykke.
Tackar. Äntligen.
Äntligen, ja. Okay.
The last drive is over, but the aftermath is still to come. The exchange of all the hunters' stories of the day. Nothing beats having experienced hunters as an audience to your wonderful tales. In return, you patiently listen to the other hunter's story, being only mildly skeptical. But first, a sumptuous evening meal is waiting. Good food and company is part of the experience of a long-awaited hunting trip. Many hunters have experienced how a trip of 3 or 5 days' duration, dedicated to hunting and the company of other hunters, is the very best way to live out your passion. Here there is no bad conscience about being away from your job or family, as the trip has been planned long ago, and you are now far away from home. Unfortunately, it has been raining all night, and the next morning all the snow is gone.
Det står nu som en sidepost. Det er begyndt at regne lidt her, men de driver stykket her lige foran os. Og der er en lille høj her, så hvis vildtet kommer det meget tæt på, inden vi får skudt. Så nu må vi se, om det lykkes.
Niels spots a herd of fallow deer coming towards him. As charming as the uncultivated forest at Labod is, just as troublesome can the many trees be for the hunter trying to get a good aim and a clean line of fire. Søren misses the fawn, and behind it appears a herd of red deer. They are very fine red deer stags at Labod, but shooting a trophy animal during a driven hunt is against the law in Hungary. There are approximately 30 to 40 beaters in the line.
Det er helt fantastisk det her. 3 stykker dårvildt. 4 skud. Vi så den indtil videre. Nu går driveren forbi, og så må vi se, om der kommer nogen bagved.
A herd of fallow deer are approaching Anas's post. The animals are obviously very alert, and after a moment of indecision, they decide that it is probably safer to turn back. A little later, a doe and 2 fawns are approaching Niels' post.
Vi er kommet op i en hugsits, der sidder her. Og drevet kommer lige foran os. Allerede da vi gik herudad kom der, jeg tror der kom 10 stykker dårvildt og løven lige over forbi hugsitsen her. Men nogle af dem vendte om og løb tilbage i skoven, så vi håber de kommer igen.
Hannes gets another chance and knows how to take advantage of it. Hannes shoots a doe accompanied by 2 bucks. However, he has to put in a finishing shot.
Det, der er sket på såen i dag, det er, at vi bliver sat af, og driverne kommer herover fra syd. Og så har vi stået et kvarters tid eller noget, så kommer der en då med 2 kalve og stiller sig herover. Og de gemmer sig lidt bag noget buskads, men jeg synes, jeg har et godt frit skud og skyder. Men det viser sig så, at jeg har ramt en gren, og jeg har ramt et træ bagved også. Så det gik ikke. Sådan kan det gå, men der har været masser af vildt. Der har været nogle hjorte, der har været en del dårvildt, men ja, jeg har ikke haft heldet med mig.
Even if there are no chances to shoot during a drive, you will normally always have the pleasure of seeing some or a lot of game.
Ich hoffe, dass Sie den Ruf von Labod nach Schweden und nach Dänemark bringen werden. Und ich hoffe, dass wir im nächsten Jahr hier wieder nach einer Strecke, nach einem solchen Strecke hier stehen können. Weidmannsheil.
3 days of driven hunting has come to an end. The result is quite impressive. 2 red stag calves, 9 wild boars, and no less than 39 does and fawns, shot by 6 hunters, which is the smallest number one should have on a hunt like this. 1 to 2 heads of game per hunter per day is standard, and accordingly this hunt has been above average. The shooting statistics are quite good, slightly over 2 shots per head of game. Hungary has it all. Beautiful scenery, huge forests, fine food, and a hospitable population. If you are a hunter, the country has even more to offer. Plenty of game, good trophy heads, and pleasant and very professional guides. And when it comes to organizing hunts and accommodating the hunters, the country is second to none. The trophies of your dreams are awaiting you. Good luck.